The book will tell you, but I'll give you the 30-second elevator speech.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Daytona Beach, Florida. I don't know who my father is, don't care who my father is, okay? I never had a single person read one sentence of a book to me. My mother may have hugged me 3 times in my entire life. When I was 16 years old, I had lived in 17 different places, including an orphanage home.
Name 3 players that you would go to for advice in poker. 3 players that you're impressed with their play at the table.
That will give me advice.
You would seek advice from them because you think they're actually better than you at the game, or they have some insight. Like,
I would take advice from AJ, but AJ is pretty smart that he doesn't want to give advice. You follow what I'm saying?
That's another topic. But let's say you want to seek advice.
But I'm saying, but I would take advice from him.
AJ,
but he doesn't want to give advice.
Yeah.
I would pay AJ to be my teacher, but AJ doesn't want to do that. You follow?
Who else?
We're talking about just Hard Rock, right?
Yeah, just Hard Rock, locals.
Okay, we're just talking about Hard Rock. It would be you, it would be AJ.
5 years ago, I retired.
That's our boy.
I fell in love with poker. A friend of mine introduced me to poker online. We played for fun. I think it was Poker Stars or something, just play games. And then I liked the game, and I said, okay, maybe I should try live. So I went to the Hard Rock, and I played my first $100 tournament. I did very well. And then I played online one time. I think it was a 500,000 Monday guarantee. And I came like 26, so I got hooked since. Tony, I met him through poker. We become friends, and
okay, guys, we're live.
Okay,
we're live. We have Tony March, our guest today. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Carl.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
We have our co-host, the human solver, Gabe Fuller. What's up, Gabe?
Hey, how's it going, y'all? Thanks for having me again, Carl, as a co-host, and then Tony. I can't wait to get to know more about you. I haven't played with you too much, to be honest.
No, that's I agree.
Tony is a legend in the Tampa area. He's a big-time philanthropist and a poker player first. We're gonna hear his story today. Tony, we have a good program today prepared. We have a lot of questions, poker related and philanthropy related. Let's start a little bit about your background in poker. What initially drew you to the game? Let's hear the story from the beginning.
Well, what a lot of people, I would say 98% of the people that listen to this podcast will not know is that I suffer from severe depression. I've been to 20 psychiatrists my whole life. It started at my child birth. When you read my book, you'll get to understand how I got there, and a lot of the struggles I have with my life is because of depression. But I'm also one of the most introverted persons you ever see. I told someone during COVID, I used 1 tank of gas for 5 months. I never left home. 1 tank of gas for 5 months, and that was just to go back and forth to the drugstore drive-through to pick up my medicine, or a couple of times I had to go to the doctor. But I'm very, very introverted person. But that's sort of a double-edged sword in me for me in my life. It's a double-edged sword in that I'm very introverted. I suffer from a lot of depression, but that's the reason why was so successful, because I didn't go out and be around people. All I did was work. I'll tell you the story to give you a good understanding. In 2003, I was on 200 airplanes and 177 hotel room nights. I was building 7 dealerships in 6 different states, all at the same time. I literally was working 15, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for a whole year. But that's only because my depression allowed me to do that. So my depression allows me to not have to worry about a social life, so I can concentrate on work. Well, that's what started me with poker. In 2010, I went through, 2008 was the crash, financial crash of the United States, 2008 when it started. At 2008, I owned 21 car dealerships. I lost 4 of those car dealerships in 2009 because of the crash. And that spun me into a severe depression. And for 2 years, I never left home. So I then went and I bought the World Series of Poker online for $149 a month. A lot of people don't know this. For $149 a month, you get to see every final table ever back and everyone coming of just the top professionals in the world playing poker. So
I have a few questions. That's
how I got
First of all, what dealership, what brand did you have at that point?
There are 34 different brands sold in the United States. I sold 21 of the 34.
But I'm saying, like, what brand of cars? You were specializing in Japanese cars, American cars, Cadillacs?
34 cars sold in the United States. 34
all American made cars.
Honda, America, Japanese. There's 34 brands in the United States. I sold 21 of those 34.
Interesting. You said you talked
almost
about
any car you've ever seen on the road, I've sold it. I owned 21 car dealerships at one time in my life.
What's your secret being successful in building that empire? What was your background? Like, why cars? Why not pizza, for example?
Well, cars was because I went to college to become an electrical engineer. And I graduated to become an electrical engineer. Then I went to work for the largest company in the world at that time, General Motors, as an electrical engineer. I worked there for 15 years. I have 3 U.S. patents. So I was I never had a job more than 6 months. Every 6 months I got promoted.
U.S. patents on what?
When you're in a car, memory seat, when you touch the button, you have a button for you and a button for your wife.
Yep.
I have a patent on that for General Motors.
You came up with this idea?
I have the patent on the electronic module for memory seats when I was working at General Motors. I have the patent for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. When the trunk closes, there's a switch that cuts the motor off when it closes. I have a patent on the switch that cuts the motor off when the trunk closes.
It cuts the motor off so it won't cut somebody's finger if they have something.
No. When you close the trunk, it pulls it down. That there's a motor that pulls the trunk down.
Right.
You need something to cut it off. So there's a sensor. The patent is on the sensor that says, "Hey, cut the motor off. We're already down."
I see. To end the operation. So it closes, the motor cuts off.
Yes.
Interesting.
And I have a patent on when you get in a car, the 6-way seat adjuster, everybody moves their seat, right? I have a patent on the switch for General Motors for that. I also was the first electrical engineering group manager for the electric car for General Motors. I started working on the electric car in 1977.
Okay, talking about that,
See how long it took.
You know a crazy fact that electric cars were around, I think,
1800.
1800s?
Oh, 1800, yes.
Yeah, I posted a video about it a couple of days ago. Imagine how long it took to actually have it in that's crazy. Can't believe you actually know the fact. Good job.
Yeah.
So, Tony, I got a question, not to get too sidetracked on this. I think it's interesting, though. Were you approached with these ideas and you came in to solve the problem with these patents, these various things? Or was this something that you had already been like kind of brainstorming and maybe or on your own, like trying to figure out a solution to these?
No. Well, I worked at Fisher Body. I don't want to get off the sidetrack, but Fisher Body makes everything from the instrument panel back, including the seats. So that's where I work. So I'm an electrical engineer at a company that makes all the interiors for all General Motors cars. So we had the seat adjuster when I got there. They already had the seat adjuster, and then so it's my boss says, well, what happens if we come up with a module? Because I'm the electrical engineer working with mechanical engineers, where we can have 2 positions. So he just sends me off. I don't know if it was a year or 2 years, and say, go. That's what I was hired for. We got paid as engineers to just sit down and think of things all day. My boss had 108 patents. Where I worked was nothing but the geniuses of engineering. I don't know how to describe it any different than that. A layman's term.
That's a good description.
Layman's terms, we were all basically geniuses of our time, and we just sit there. I mean, the guy sat in front of me, seatbelt. Never forget this guy. He's responsible for saving so many lives. He had 150 patents on seatbelts. All he did was think about different ways to do seatbelts. It started with this big, long, and then the lap, when you move forward, it catches. I mean, seatbelts have gone along the way.
Tony, explain how do you make money on the patent? And like, okay, you come up with, you have the patent.
You don't make money. The day you sign, you have 2 cards. We call it the blue card and the yellow card. The blue card is your health. You got to go see a doctor. He signs off that you're healthy enough to. The most important card is the yellow card. The yellow card says, no matter what you invent, no matter how much money GM makes, you get $1 for every patent you ever come up with.
You came up with the idea. You only make pennies?
$1. Symbolically, they give you a plaque, and there's embossed in that plaque is $1.
So where's the incentive of people coming up with inventions and ideas then?
You get paid a salary to come to work every day and just sit there and dream up new ideas. You don't have to do any manual labor. You're just sitting there, you're just drawing, and you're sitting down with other engineers. You're coming up with different ideas for. We were working on cars that's going to be built 5 years out in the future.
I understand, but you came up with this idea, and General Motors is going to make millions of dollars because of it, and you're on the back end making nothing?
Let me tell you who got screwed the most. The guy that came up with the windshield wiper. Imagine you designed the first windshield wiper that's on every car, and you don't get paid for it because you were working for a company that was paying you a salary when you designed it.
This is crazy. Okay, this is a very interesting topic. We can go on for hours. This is all a learning process for both of us, me and Gabe. Let's dive back into the poker. So 2000, you dove deep in the business. You said 177 times on the plane. First of all, you said you're introvert, you're depressed, but this takes a lot of motivation and drive. And how do you get that drive when people that are depressed, they go in the fetal position and sleep in bed and do nothing. Having that drive, it's hard to be.
When I say this, you will understand. Have you just go back? I played with you yesterday, didn't I? Yesterday or
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
2 earphones, 100% of the time. Listening to religious music, gospel music. It puts me in a Zen mode. It puts me in a mathematical Zen mode, but it also calms my depression down because I'm listening to gospel music.
So religion is your drive?
Religion is 100% one of my drives. It drives my charity. It drives virtually everything that I do because of my depression. I look to try to solve it by helping other people in the world.
Interesting.
And poker allows me to get out of the house without really being around people. Think about this. I go buy in. I got to talk to the lady handing my money. I go sit down. I put my 2 earphones on. I put my famous, whatever religious song that day. It's going to take me 10 hours. And then I sit there and I'm around people. There was one guy walked up to me and said, I used to think you were so stuck up, because he didn't realize I had earphones on. So when he was talking to me, by the way, the earphones is so I don't listen to any of the crap in poker. You can ask me a question 100 times. First of all, I don't even hear your question, but it's one of my ways to not get trapped into playing with the small talk. Mike Maddah does zero with if I was playing against him because I can't hear him.
Okay. First of all, is how being an introvert and walking into a room full of people drains your energy. Everybody knows introverts,
Yeah.
their batteries get drained being around a lot of people. And in poker, in that room is filled with people. How do you deal? How hard is it walking into the poker room? How do you deal with it?
It's I've learned how to deal with it. Let's say it that way. We're gonna get back to how I started poker, but I learned to. I play for a cause. I play for my charity. So I have to overcome all the difficulties that my depression and my introvertedness brings me to get to my end result of winning money for homeless people across the world. So but the music helps me get through it. For some reason, the one thing we didn't even talk about is virtually from 7th grade on. First of all, I went to all black school. There was no such thing as honors. The teachers got tired of me raising my hand for every question. They put me in the back of the book, a class, and I've been mathematics out of books.
Question: being an introvert, you think you'll never raise your hand to ask questions. Introverts usually never want to be in the spotlight or talk in class or anything. I'm surprised you actually raised your hand and asked questions.
Well, I raised my hand because I always wanted to please my teachers.
Interesting.
Because of my life at home, and that's why we have to really read the book to understand. I wrote a book.
Let's plug the book first of all. What's the book's name?
Pay It Backwards. Hold on a second.
Pay it backwards. I like that. It's like the play on the pay it forward, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys, if you want to buy the book, there it is. Pay It Backwards. Where can they find it?
Amazon. Just type Tony Martin Amazon. The book will pop up.
On Amazon. Okay.
It's Amazon. It's Paying It Backwards. How a childhood of poverty and abuse fuel a life of gratitude and philanthropy.
I know Duckman helps you publish the book, correct?
Well, forget about Duckman. I had 5 writers on this book.
Okay.
I wrote the last chapter myself.
Interesting.
Forget about Duckman.
Okay.
But anyway, there's 5 writers on this book, but it talks about my life. But the description describes my depression, a childhood of poverty and abuse. That's what started the depression.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna buy the book and get you to sign it. By the way, I didn't.
And it fueled my life of gratitude for the 4, and I dedicated this book to my 4 teachers. That's you said. Why did I raise my hand? I had 4 teachers. That's the reason why I'm sitting here now.
What state was that? What school did you go to? By
Daytona
the way?
Beach, Florida.
You were born and raised in Florida, right?
No, I grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was born in New York.
Okay, born in New York. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to the introduction to poker. So 2010, you said the WSOP for $100. What is the? There was no Poker Go back then.
There was no Poker Go, but in 2010 you can go online and every final table, all the way back from 1980s, was on World Poker Tour. So all I did was sit there and watch the final tables, because they didn't show any of the lead up like they do now for 4 or 5 hours. They would only show the final tables. So
what makes you do that? Like, as if I'm coming up if I don't know much about poker, I wouldn't want to watch final tables because I don't understand the game yet. You know what I mean? What was your first introduction to the game?
That was my first introduction, which drove me to go buy Phil Helmuth's book, where I learned where ace is the best, and then 1 pair, and then 2 pair. I learned that from his book. And then I started to learn from him the science of recognizing the people for what they are, the mouse, the monkey, the lion, and every lions in every pot. You know, he described everyone, but he described why he called them what they were. The mouse plays no hands. They only play ace king. When you get in a pot with the mouse, do not play a hand. If you got tens, fold tens when the mouse, because the mouse only plays aces and kings.
Tony, don't tap the table because it's picking up on the microphone.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I remember this book. I read a little excerpts back in the day because I bought all the books back in those days. The Super System at first, Phil Helmuth book, Daniel Negreanu about small ball.
And then I bought the book on the mathematics, because that's what intrigued me to get started with poker, was the mathematics learning. Oh, wait a minute. So there's such a thing as equity. There's such a thing as, oh, how many outs do you have? You call them outs. My math in the beginning was the percentage that I can hit my card. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember, I'm an engineer. I have a minor in mathematics. I've taken differential equations and probability courses, just probability courses. So all this math is already in my brain. So now all I got to do is figure out the math for poker. That's why you see there was a stat where all the 5 years ago, 10 years ago, all the guys that were winning were MIT dropouts, Caltech dropouts. They were all the math majors, because they basically were doing what I was doing, was understanding the math. It's completely changed a little bit now. It's not all about math now. It's about solvers. And I think people are actually confusing themselves. If they don't have the math background, they're trying to do things that they're not. They're going to put 2 hours into looking at a solver when you need to put 200 hours to really understand it and make it effective. You follow what I'm saying?
This is gold. I think if you don't have the basics down and you jump into something really advanced like solvers, you're gonna be all over the place. You have to know the basics. You'll be surprised how many people show up at Hard Rock and don't know what odds they need to have to like continue with the basic stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not consistent. They're gonna have a bout where they're running really good and then they fall off the map. The people that are consistent in this game, they have all the basics down. Okay, so 2010, you're watching WPT final tables.
So
you're reading
2010, 2011, 50 to 60 hours every single week for 2 years. That's 104 weeks, 50 hours a week. Nothing but final tables.
At this point, did you play any poker, or did you just watching content?
1 minute of poker. I didn't play 1 minute because I'm in depression. I can't leave home for 2 years. So when I walked into the poker room to play 1-1, I will never forget it, which is probably the worst thing you could do if you want to try to learn poker. It's all too many all-ins. But anyway.
This is Hard Rock?
Hard Rock, yeah.
Hard Rock.
Hard Rock was when I went. I had the basics for it, but I played so tight. I wasn't a mouse, but I was very close to the mouse that only plays ace king. I had this thing where I would only play, when I first started playing, I'll never forget this. I played the button, the cutoff, and the hijack. Okay, hijack was, I gave a hand 0. If I'm in the cutoff and I had a face card, I gave it +10. If on the button and I had a face card, I gave it +20.
Where'd you get that system from?
That's my own mathematics.
That's your own, okay. That's your own strategy.
And then I would look at the second card. So I got a king in one of those positions is +10 or 20. If I got a deuce offsuit, all of a sudden, because I'm playing very tight, that's a fold hand. I learned eventually where a king on the button is a lot more valuable than you think it is. You follow what I'm saying? But it took me years and years and years to learn that. So what would happen is I would play king, queen, jack, queen, 10 in those 3 positions. I wouldn't even enter a hand in any other position than that. That's how I learned. That's how I first started playing poker. It was all about a position for me. But I
Interesting.
gave the mathematics. But then I started to understand the mathematics of ace-5 suited.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mathematical equation for ace-5 suited. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my brain clicks in that mathematics of ace-5 suited, where a lot of other people. And by the way, ace-5 suited in a particular position as a squeeze. A lot of people don't understand that mathematics. For me, poker is all mathematics. And what you'll see, and you play with me, Carl, sometimes I get bored. Oh, okay, I'm going to try this. I know it's wrong. Okay, you were asking me about bankroll. I have the ability to try different things on different people that a lot of people don't even know how to try that. So poker to me is mathematically intriguing. So
Of course.
poker to me is all mathematics.
It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle, and we're trying to figure out on the go.
And solvers is not mathematics. Solvers is different cards at different times. You follow what I'm saying? It's not pure mathematics. Solvers is not.
No. Solvers are mathematical. They're mathematical, of course. It's all about having a game that you can exploit others and not be exploited yourself. Basically, that's what game theory optimal is.
I said that wrong. What I meant to say is very few humans can calculate the odds of King 4 with 5 blinds and the mathematics of that. You follow what I'm saying? That's what solver does for you, where they already went and did that for you. When I first started, I had to do that calculation myself, else I wouldn't try it.
Right.
Because I was playing strictly by mathematics. I've since got out of that because things have changed. I don't play 100% by math, but I got a leg up on anybody I play because I know the mathematical odds of my card coming more than even you, Carl. Pure mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've done everything by mathematics.
Tony, let's look up at your hand the mob and the progression over the years. Let's see the first recorded score.
I don't think Hindemar was screwed up, Carl. My winnings are much more than that. When I first started, there was Anthony March, and then there was Tony March.
Oh, so there's 2 accounts?
In the beginning, it would depend on who the supervisors were at Hard Rock, which account they were going to send my results to. Like it shows, it shows my biggest winning is 50,000. Well, my biggest winning is 62,000.
We'll look them up.
It's not even shown on there.
We'll look both up, but let's see the first one on this account is June of 2013, a 1,300 buy-in, or actually 1,450 buy-in at WPT Regional Tampa. You got second place.
I did.
Barry Weidman. I have no clue who that is. And look at the results. It's so weird. It's showing first, second, and seventh. That is weird.
So Tony, you were watching poker for a couple years, and this looks like 2013. So it's like a year or two after that seems to concluded.
Yeah. Exactly.
When did you first step into a poker room or play online or however your first
actually the first of 2013 is the first time I started playing. I'm sorry, 2010 all year, 2011 all year, 2012 is probably when I went into the poker room playing 1-1. But I wasn't playing tournaments probably till 2013. I didn't know about tournaments till whatever that date says I'm starting to play tournaments.
Okay.
I mean, but you see what happened is, to show you how tight I was, I had never made a final table at that tournament. There are, the final table was 9 people at that time. There were 11 of us, 10 of us left. The hand before we started that final table, on the button, I folded kings pre-flop.
Wow.
On the button, people say, "Oh, you never fold kings." I folded kings on the button there because I had never made a final table, and I wanted to make a final table.
Oh,
I'm playing so tight, I'm gonna fold everything so I can make a final table. And I wound up, I folded kings, and I wound up making $50,000 by folding. The guy showed me aces.
wait, was there action before you folded, or you just open fold kings?
I raised on the button with kings.
Mm-hmm.
The big blind woke up with aces.
Mm-hmm.
He went all in.
And you folded kings.
And I folded kings because I wanted to make the final table.
You wanted to lock up the final table.
I wanted to lock up the final table, yes.
Crazy. Okay,
and
so
I wound up finishing second in that tournament, folding kings.
that's insane. I'm going broke there every time. So 50K first score. That's sick that you start off right out of the gate. You have a 50K score. I've been playing for what? Years now, and I don't have even a 50K score. And then the second score is March of 2014. You have a 29K. This is also Tampa. Let's see who won that one. John Gaspard.
Oh yeah, yes.
Oh, Barbara Cardin got third for 43K. Wow.
Yeah, I'll never forget that hand. That guy playing that guy either.
Natasha Mercier got 8th.
Yeah.
Shout out to Natasha. Interesting.
Tony, were you playing all the poker you could, like once you got that success and like fairly early on in the tournaments? Was it more like the big events that came through, like weekend?
I think I'm not sure. I was playing once a week at that time.
Okay.
Maybe once every 2 weeks. Only going in for tournaments.
You got consistent results. Your first year, you have 50K in total, then 47K, 37K. You're consistent, around 50K a year, and this is not playing full time. This year, by the way, you have a good start. You're at 48K right now, and actually, we're halfway in. So, yeah.
You know what's interesting about that 48 is, which is more than last year. If you go back to November of the previous year, November, December, January, and February, my twin brother died. He was in the hospital. So I didn't play any tournaments until
you told me.
I go into a Hard Rock at the end of February, and I won the 28K. So I won more money playing not even 10% of what I played last year.
Mm-hmm.
I played very few tournaments this year.
Okay, so we talked about you studying and watching WPT back in those days. What are you doing now, Tony, to stay relevant? Because you know the game has changed a lot. Like 2016, once the solvers got introduced, the game has changed. What are you doing now to stay relevant in this day and age?
I'm relevant to the game. My problem is what I'm doing is not good for Hard Rock.
Which is?
When I say Hard Rock, I mean it in a negative manner. Whoever's listening, I mean it in the most negative manner you can mean. It's not even poker playing at Hard Rock.
Explain it.
It's bingo. The guy called you Queen 4 off. You were just talking about it.
It was actually suited, to give him credit, but yeah, it was a five bet pot.
It's like all my mathematics and all my ratios, throw them out the window playing at Hard Rock. Throw them out the window. And part of my problem now is I'm watching Poker Go. So I'm watching the Trident series. I'm watching the Poker Go where they get the purple jacket.
King of the Hill or something.
And now you got the new one that started where what's the new tournament?
PGT poker.
Where the top 40 gets in. So, you know, that's my learnings. But how do I apply when I'm playing at Hard Rock? That's why I tell people I play so much better when I'm playing against nothing but pros. Because I can sort of like figure out what they're doing, even though they're going to try to bluff me. You said something. Well, you read people. I do not ever look at a single person when I'm playing poker.
Really?
If you're playing with me, you will never make eye contact with me. I have my earphones on. You can talk all you want. I will never say one single word to you. I can count the times I ever said one word while I'm in the hand.
Yeah, I know. Anytime I talk, you're like me. You put your headphones on, and you're in the zone. So let's say you have a tough decision on the river. Somebody puts you all in for your tournament life, and you have a really close decision. You're not sure if you're gonna go call or fold. You don't even look at them to sway your decision. You don't look at them. So,
It's all about the math, number one.
mhm.
It's all about how you played it. If you slow played it all the way through, but even slow playing it, there's certain tells you give off by slow playing. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We were looking at a hand the other day, and the guy had two pair. Well, it depends on where you're playing. If you're playing with a pro and you got two pair, you're gonna play it totally different than if you're playing at Hard Rock and you got two pair. If you got two pair in Hard Rock, shame on you if you lose the hand, if you let them get to the turn and you didn't bet. Shame on you. Don't complain about the bad beat.
So you say Hard Rock. Is it not the case at TGT or Derby or so?
PGT and Silks and Derby are worse. You get the better player in Hard Rock.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's the best poker room that I like, but I'm saying I do know when you get to the final table at Hard Rock, you're going to be playing with some pretty good players. It's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tougher game at Hard Rock. Just a pointer. Me and Gabe, I think to be a complete player, you have to play the math 100%. But poker is a people's game. So if you're playing online, there's no physical tells. You're just playing the math because you can't see your opponent.
I don't play online. I don't play one.
No, my point is there's no physical tells. But like in live poker, if you incorporate the whole tell situation, sometimes you're gonna make mistakes. But if you see the pros, they're gonna like read your soul. So they rely on tells.
Here's the advice I give to anyone that's playing by tells. Do not play by tells until you know what the heck you're doing. Because I don't invest the time to know what's a good tell and a bad tell is, I don't look at any tell. I'll never forget, I was playing a big tournament. I walk in and I'm shaking like this. And
why are you shaking like this?
I'm shaking like this. So I play a very big pot. And so I get the guy to call. I'm gonna say I'll try to give you real numbers. I got 100,000. He's got 100,000. I get him to call 75,000. He said, "I call you because your hands were shaking." I said to him, "I take blood pressure medicine, and my blood pressure medicine makes me shake. But because my blood pressure medicine makes my hands shake, that's the reason why I don't do tails. Until I learn how to read tails, it's better for me not to get trapped in reading a false tale."
Yeah.
I would say 80% of the people that's listening to this podcast do not know how to determine a good tale and a bad tale, and you'd be better off not let it screw you up. For me, it's easy. I just play the math and I play my hand based on the odds of me getting my cards. By the way, I do that a lot. The odds of me getting my card has a lot to do with whether I'm going to call a hand or not.
Yeah, fair enough.
55% odds of getting my cards, I'm calling every time. Well, I made it sort of simple for you, but it's not quite that simple. You follow what I'm saying?
Of course. What advice would you give to someone looking to get into playing tournaments? So let's say somebody's playing cash and they want to switch to tournaments. What advice would you give them?
2016, I stopped playing cash. If you ever see me on a cash table, it's because I say $500 and I'm going to pass 4 or 5 hours, and I expect to lose the $500. Cash to me is just tournament. I am the worst cash player you've ever met in your life. But in 2015 to 16, I made $100,000 more by not playing cash.
Interesting.
Because I was such a bad cash player. I just literally stopped playing cash because...
Why do you think you're bad at cash?
Because my way of playing does not play well when there's 5 people in the pot.
Mm-hmm.
And I get bored. I get bored when I got to fold 15 hands at a cash table. I don't have the patience to play cash.
Interesting. Your heart is not in it. You just don't like
I
cash.
have zero desire to play cash.
All right, let's talk about what year did you start the charity work and you start donating. I don't know if the people that are watching know that now you donate 100% of your cashes to charity. First of all, what charity do you, what is the charity in Tampa that you actually donate to and you work? I have a little clip, by the way, I'm going to share you working cutting meat. That I don't know if you know the clip. You were cutting meat and they had an interview. Fox 13 had an interview with you. Now, let's plug in the charity.
Yeah. Well, the name of my book is Pay It Backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I have a foundation called the Pay It Backwards Foundation.
When did that start?
Everything I win goes to that foundation.
What year did that start, Tony?
1985. I started working in homeless shelters in 1985.
You've been in charity since the 80s?
85, when I got my first car dealership, is when I started heavily getting in. I went to my first homeless shelter and started cooking meals at my first homeless shelter in 1985. And that's when I started my foundation.
What's the drive behind you getting involved with charity? Like, what drove you to do this? Obviously, it's the most.
I gave you the 30. It's the book will tell you, but I give you the 30-second elevator speech.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Daytona Beach, Florida. I don't know who my father is. Don't care who my father is. Okay. I never had a single person read one sentence of a book to me. My mother may have hooked me 3 times in my entire life. When I was 16 years old, I had lived in 17 different places, including an orphanage home. I ate out of garbage cans from the day I remember I was alive all the way probably to 9th or 10th grade. I was eating out of garbage cans. I grew up extremely poor, and I moved 17 times when I was in 9th grade. I lived in 17 different, that's way over one place per year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up hungry and very poor. So it's called the Pay It Backwards Foundation because now that God has blessed me with so much success and so much wealth, I'm paying it backwards down. I'm looking, instead of being at the top of the mountain and owning 15 cars, by the way, I only own 2 cars. I only live in 1 house. I spend all my time and energy giving back, paying it backwards down the mountain. That's what the whole book is about. Me turning into a philanthropist.
I understand the upbringing, but I'm saying, what drove you to start with charity? Just because of having that rough childhood, you kind of like.
Oh, if you grew up as hungry as I was, when you get money, you want to help other hungry people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my drive is. Everything about my life now is me and my foundation. And my drive is to give back to everyone that is less fortunate like I was when I was growing up. That's what my drive is.
And when did you start donating the winnings to charity? Right from
day one.
From day one.
Yeah, if you read my book, you will see a lot of. I've been donating since I got my first car dealership in '85. So it's nothing for me to donate. I've been doing it virtually all my financial life. I can say it that way. All of my financial life, I've been donating.
That's insane. Let's watch the video with Fox 13. You in the back helping out at the.
Just because you're there doesn't mean you have to stay there.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Here in the back, nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows what I'm doing. Just doing my part.
Tucked away in one of the least visible spots of Metropolitan Ministries is Tony March.
I got one more piece.
Tony is the ultimate utility player,
I cut all the ham you need.
volunteering to cut meat, wash dishes, you name it.
They can ask me to do anything. Easiest one to cut. There's no job I can't do it.
Tony is loved by those who work with him.
You're my favorite, Tony.
He's very personable. Great guy to know.
He knew 10%,
And that's the thing.
but nobody here knew.
Not many people know
God, I hate talking about me.
the real Tony.
Second largest African-American owned car dealer in the country. At one time, I owned 21 car dealerships in 6 states along the East Coast.
He also plays professional poker. His success in dealerships has put him in the top 1%, so he donates his winnings to charity.
Taking care of the least of these.
It all comes back to charity.
Are you doing enough for the least of these?
The donated money, the donated time, the motivation all comes from a slice of Tony.
Everybody knows I cry. Everybody see me cry.
The least of Tony that we don't know until now.
It's because I used to be one of them. I could say that I was probably hungry every single day of my life, all the way through 12th grade of high school. I'd eaten out of the garbage cans. Oh, people don't eat out of garbage cans. Anyone that says that has never been hungry. You know, the back of a restaurant, you know, someone ate half of a steak. Well, if you can get it before the flies and the magnets, you know what I mean? It's still food.
So now this extraordinary ordinary uses his experiences to try to motivate others, those with the most and those with the least.
To inspire them to say, that's not your end, that's your beginning. Your end is what you can make it. And I want to inspire them to say, hey, here's a guy that used to be just like me, and look at his end. That's the other half of what I'm doing. I'm trying to inspire the other people like me in the top 1%. Whatever you do for the least of these brothers and sisters, you do for me. I used to be one of the least of these.
Very nice story, Tony.
Thank you. So now you know what my motivation is. That says it all.
Yeah, that's a nice little clip there. Okay.
So I have a question, Tony.
Sure.
You know what? I was about to ask the same question. Gabe came up with this question. He's gonna fire really nice. Go ahead, Gabe.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember that question. I just had another thought that. So you might have to remind me of what we talked about.
You asked about how to stay motivated when money is not the end goal.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you definitely answered that. In terms of like your poker motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all playing for money. Carl and I are interested. You know, this is kind of our livelihood, right?
Yeah.
A lot of recreational players. I mean, maybe they want to win for the trophy, but winning 28K, 15K, 60K. I mean, that's money straight in your pocket. But for you, since you're donating, yeah, my question was like, where's the motivation come from? The drive, and it sounds like, I mean, that's it, and that's a big deal, right?
Well, I look at poker this way almost every day. I'm there when I'm not goofing off. I goof off a lot, by the way. When I'm not goofing off, trying different strategies. My motivation is every time people say, well, why do you 100% of the time chop? Because if it says fifth and it's 1,000, and if I chop is 3,000, to me that's 3,000 meals. Because I know the variance in poker, I don't want to even take the chance. I think someone, Wally called me crazy. I won $48,000 playing against Alan, AJ.
Oh, AJ Kelso.
AJ. We made the final table. We're the final two. I got him 3 million to 1.2 million. And I chopped. Because I know the variance, and for me to lose the 5 that I chopped was not worth the gamble for the other 5 if I didn't chop, because I just bought 50,000 meals. So I'm sort of answering your question both questions. Chopping is a good example of what my motivation is, because my motivation is whenever I make $1, I'm buying meals, and my brain flips back to eating out of the garbage can. So if I can stop one little child from eating out of the garbage can, that's motivation for me. Even though Carl was scary to talk about bankroll managers, Carl, no, that's a different subject for a different person. In order to keep my bankroll management in check, as you would call it, bankroll management, I have to say, okay, how many meals we're buying today when I walk in? So that's my motivation. How many meals am I going to buy today when I walk in?
Just to clarify, Gabe, we were at the table yesterday and I was giving Tony a sample of the questions. And one of the questions that came up was bankroll management. And he's like, hey, to put it in layman's terms, I can buy into every event in WSOP, not even flinch. I said, how much? We did the math. He said there's like 70 events in WSOP. It adds up. Maybe we're wrong. I don't know. Ballpark, like 800K. So he's like, yeah, I can buy in. So I know you're well off money-wise, but when I say bankroll management, I mean, even if you're a multimillionaire, you still kind of like, you're not going to go. I know you have a lot of money, but you still I've never seen you fire like 5-6 bullets into an event and just be reckless. So you must have some type of money management, some type of stop loss. Well, even though the money is not an issue.
Here's what happens, Carl. I won, what did I win? 28,000. Because of the few number of, I just bought a whole year's of buying at Hard Rock.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? So my bankroll management, I've already satisfied that I'm making money. By the way, maybe you don't know, if I spend 50,000 in buy-ins and I win 50, I'm giving the whole 100. I don't even charge buy-ins out of the money I give to charity.
Right. 100% goes to charity. I know.
100% goes to charity.
If you play full time, it adds up to way more than 38,000. I play full time. You don't play full time.
I don't play close to full time.
Yeah, my buy-ins are easily over 100K a year, and that's not even playing like I don't travel much. If I traveled, it would be way more than that. So
no, I don't.
You do the math at the end of the year of your total buy-ins.
Oh, I know. I keep every receipt.
Okay, me too. I'm sure Gabe does too.
Tony, I got a question too. Sorry to
no, go ahead.
So I got a question about tilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tilt, innately, we're playing poker, we get emotional, we lose a hand, somebody shows up with something they shouldn't have, yada, yada, yada. And you obviously, in some other podcasts we talked about, having a good bankroll like helps with tilt, right? We lose, it's not life-changing money, we're going to be okay. But for you, I would think that might be a little bit less tilt due to the bankroll and stuff like that. But you're also doing this for really important causes, and also since you said you have like depression, how does that work with like losing poker hands or running bad or the variance? Do you have?
It's even worse with someone that has depression because it could stop them from playing for 2 weeks because you did nothing wrong. And what helped me with tilt is my mathematics background. And I ask myself every single time, did you play the hand wrong? If the answer is yes, I played the hand correctly, my tilt goes way, way down.
Gotcha.
No matter how bad the variance is. I mean, where was I somewhere very recently? Got a one out it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did something that's very tough to do. I cashed 3 times in this crazy tournament they just had.
The TGT.
I cashed 3 times and I never made day 2. And it was always because of some stupid hand at the end. You follow what I'm saying? Because I'm playing really tight. So the variance just got me three straight times. The variance got me.
I think we want to dive deeper, Tony. So what Gabe meant, you have the bankroll. So your livelihood is not like some players, if they don't cash this tournament, the bills aren't getting paid. You don't have that issue. But you, like, let's say 3-4 hands don't go your way in a tournament. You have 100K stack, and 3 hands later you're out. How long does it take you to recover? How you deal with tilt? Being in you know, depressed and stuff. How do you deal with adversity, even though you've had so much adversity in your life?
It could knock me out for 2 weeks. It could knock me out for 2 weeks.
It would affect you for 2 weeks.
It could knock me out for 2 weeks.
Really?
Because I don't have to go to Hard Rock to get this misery. So my brain, my depression says, why are you putting yourself through that? Why are you even going? You know what I mean? The person hit a 3%er. And my mathematical brains makes me madder even more that he only hit a 3%er. You know, everyone say he get a 1 out. Well, what's the percentage of 1 out? You know, I get it all the way down to the percentage and say, that's
5% on the flop, 2% or 3% on the
pure
turn.
ass luck. You follow what I'm saying?
But the thing is, because you know the math, you should know probability actually happen. Like in real life, just because you're 80-20 with aces, you can lose 4 times in a row, even though you should win 8 times out of 10. Doesn't mean 8 times out of 10 you're gonna win. You could go 4 or 5 times in a row losing against Queen 4, Queen 5, King 8. You know what I'm saying? Just because you know the math.
Did I do anything wrong?
Mm-hmm.
That's what calms me down. Did I do anything wrong? If I have Jack 9 and I let the guy get to the river without raising, don't be mad that you lost the hand on variance. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like process versus results, right?
Exactly.
You're in with the
Your
process.
fault that the guy beat you in that hand. You let him get there.
Gotcha. So another question, follow up to this as well. You said it might like knock you out for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Do you like find that like falling back on your work helps? I know you said like depression kind of channeled you towards work. So like I can imagine if you're like tilted from poker, right? And you're having like problems detaching to that. Do you have things that you like might do at home or mental exercises or anything that kind of detaches you from that like kind of emotional spike towards, you know, kind of regulation?
The one thing we didn't talk about, the reason why they came to Metropolitan Ministry to do that video, for 4 straight years, I volunteered over 1,000 hours a year cooking at home Metropolitan Ministry Kitchen. To put it in perspective, when you work 40 hours a week, that's 2,000 hours a year. For 4 straight years, I volunteered over 1,000 hours of my time cooking. So my safe place, you know, when you're in depression, they say, find your safe place. My safe place, I have literally got in my car at 1 o'clock at night and drove to Metropolitan Ministry to sit at the door by the kitchen because it puts me in a safe place. These people have it worse off than you. No matter how bad you think, this is me talking to myself now, no matter how bad you think you have it, you know all the poor people, how bad they have it. So my safe place is to just go volunteer. So for 2 weeks, I'll go volunteer every single day at the shelter. And that's what brings me back and grounds me. And I say, okay, it's time to go play poker again. So I'm lucky that I have a safe haven. I have 2. One is my hobby. It lets me use this incredible brain my God gave me, the mathematics. And second, my charity allows me to be around people that have it left off from me. And they're the ones I'm playing poker for. So I have 2 things outside of work that drives my life, poker and charity. I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed to have a charity to be able to give back the way I give back.
I can definitely see how putting in that context helps you out a lot. I think other people can definitely learn from that as well. It's like I've heard almost like a mantra, like if you're ever depressed, like do something for someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
See how you feel, right?
Yeah.
So I can imagine like that seems like you're full on board with that.
And it's probably my depression is probably what drove my charity to be as strong as my charity is now, because I'm
Tony,
always thinking about doing something for someone so they don't have to eat out of the garbage can like I had to eat out of the garbage can.
are you on? Were you prescribed any drugs, and what do you think about antidepressant drugs?
No, the drugs are not good for me. And by the way, some of the drugs makes it even worse. Some of the antidepressant drugs, believe it or not, causes you to think about suicide more. The doctor takes you off the drug because you're thinking about suicide more. So I've learned I have a life coach, and my religious belief, listen to religious music. That's why when I'm playing poker, 99 out of 100 hours, it's going to be a religious song that I'm listening to when I have my earphones in.
Do you do anything physical? Working out, cardio, lifting weights? Do you do any of that, Tony?
No. I
Okay.
wish because I had a couple of years ago, I had back surgery. The year of COVID, I had 2 back surgeries, and now I need a quad fusion. 4 vertebrae they want to fuse together.
Lower back, lumbar, or upper back?
Lumbar.
Lumbar. Okay.
Well, all the way up. 5, 4, 3, 2. They want to fuse together.
Wow. You know, Wally is having major back problems. I have 2 questions, and we're gonna watch another clip here with Wally that they filmed the WPT when they came to Tampa. They filmed that short clip with Wally. Shout out to Wally. I told him yesterday to come on the podcast, but he wasn't feeling that well. Okay. Looking back at your career so far, is there anything you wish you had done differently when you're starting out?
Career or poker?
Let's say both. Both.
No, I was I was so blessed, Carl.
Okay.
I never had one job more than 6 months before I was promoted. I have this mathematical brain that God blessed me with that made my career just incredible.
Wow, I mean, that's insane. How about in poker?
In poker, what do I do differently? What I would do differently, and I'm still thinking about doing it, is taking 2 months off, flying to Vegas, find the best class that I could sit in for every single day for 2 months.
Poker class.
Poker class. With my mathematical brain and the, my earnings now, what I got, 180 cashes. I forgot what it was.
On Hendon?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's up there, let's say. If I could put the mathematics with, I've never spent 2 seconds on solver, by the way. I just printed the push fold charts. I've never looked at a push fold chart.
You'll be surprised how much there is to learn in poker. There's a lot to learn. What I'm saying.
Yeah. So, but the mathematics with someone that really knows what they're talking about and can talk to me in mathematical terms, oh my God, I would be so dangerous. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I know my mathematical brain has only seen a portion of what is capable of learning. And being a graduate engineer, it's like first grade. It's first grade math to me, by the way. I'm a graduate electrical engineer. This is all first grade math. Poker's first grade math to me.
Poker math is pretty simple. It's pretty simple and repetitive. Yeah. Okay.
I got a question, Tony. Since you seem to be very successful, especially with your career, if someone was struggling in their career, a lot of recreational players, they're playing poker a little bit on the weekends and stuff like that, but they've got jobs, they've got careers. If someone felt like they plateaued or were struggling in a rut, do you have any advice for them?
I've had the fortune to be mentors to a lot of people, especially in the car business. I probably know 300 car dealers that call me and ask me for advice, at least 300 in my lifetime. I would say find a mentor in whatever your business is. Find a mentor. You want to start a restaurant? I know it's going to be tough. Go work in a restaurant of your mentor for free or for a minimum salary just to learn from your mentor. People try to educate, what I just tell you, I need to go for 2 months. I can afford it. I don't have to go to work for 2 months and sit, and I would triple my earnings. I know I would, because I would bring in the rest of the knowledge that I can't get just by watching World Poker Tour. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, it helps you unlock that
Yeah.
potential, I
And
guess.
so they need to find that one person that will invest in them, which means you got to convince someone that you're going to put the effort in. I can't tell you how many people I turned down because all they want to do is they want to say, well, how did you buy that car? If that's their first question, that means they have no idea of how many hours that I was working in 2003, 18 hours a day for every single day for a whole year.
Tony, of all the people we play with in Tampa, or you played with at the table, name 3 players that you would go to for advice in poker. 3 players that you're impressed with their play at the table.
That will give me advice.
You would seek advice from them because you think they're actually better than you at the game, or they have some insight. Like,
I would take advice from AJ, but AJ is pretty smart that he doesn't want to give advice. You follow what I'm saying?
That's another topic. But let's say you want to seek advice.
But I'm saying, but I would take advice from him. But
AJ,
he doesn't want to give advice.
Yeah.
I would pay AJ to be my teacher, but AJ doesn't want to do that. You follow me?
Who else?
We're talking about just Hard Rock, right?
Yeah, just Hard Rock, locals.
Okay, we're just talking about Hard Rock. It would be you, it would be AJ. Let's see who.
The other part of the question is why? Why would you go to AJ? Like, why AJ?
Because I follow him playing, and he has something that I don't have. He has the piece that I don't have.
Which is?
Okay, my biggest problem is I've cashed 184 times, Carl. I'm not supposed to cash 184 times. I play too tight. I play to cash. AJ plays to win. That's the piece of poker that, see, you can have this mathematical brain, but the mathematical brain won't let you do something. Won't let you do all these.
Poker is more than one aspect. That's the beauty of poker. You can't be good. It's like school. You can't be good at one topic. It's a bunch of things you have to be good at. You have to be good at being. You have to have the mental game down. That's a big part. You have to have the studying part down. You have to know all the basics, all the math, study solvers. You have to be good at the tables and good with people, studying people, knowing how to adjust in real time. Because you could be a nerd studying solvers all day, but you sit at a table with 7 other people, and you're a nerd. You know all the numbers, but you don't know how to adjust in real time. You're playing against somebody that doesn't know numbers, doesn't know ranges or anything, that's calling you with any 2 cards, and you're not adjusting. You're not bluffing less and value betting more. You're going to get destroyed. So you have to be good at multiple aspects to be good at poker. That's the beauty of poker. You have to have heart too. That's a big component. Like you said, you play to cash. You can't be timid at the table. You have to go for it sometimes.
That's my biggest weakness. I play to cash.
I mean, cashing is important. That's the first step.
I mean, I just played the craziest tournament ever that I'm never going to play again. That we all played this last weekend. I'm never playing that tournament again. I saw the buyout structure say, what the hell was I ever thinking, buying in 8 times? What was I thinking?
I mean, there was so much
the point
value.
Is, I sat there and I played to cash, and I cashed 3 times. That is one hard tournament to cash 3 times.
That's sick that you cashed 3 times. I didn't even get close to cashing.
That tells you my poker game. I can cash in that tournament 3 times. I went to Daytona to play the Moneymaker.
Yeah.
I cashed all 4 tournaments I played. Back to back. 4 straight tournaments I cashed. Then I come to this tournament, and in 8 weeks, 6 weeks, I've cashed 7 times.
Yeah.
I need help. That's why I need to go see a pro and sit and learn. to learn how to do more than just cash.
Why do you think you're cashing that often? And I'm gonna tell you my perspective, what I think of your game, being an outsider and looking in. Why
Okay.
I think you cash that often and what you do that other players don't. But let me see your perspective on it. Why do you think you cash that often? And I'll tell you what you're doing right in tournaments.
Okay. Almost, I'm going to say this, and it'll blow your mind, 35%, 40%, maybe 50% of almost any tournament I play in. If it's 30,000 starting stack, I get to 60 before level 3 almost all the time, Carl. Almost all the time.
Interesting.
I play 8-7 suited. I play hands that people are throwing away. In those first few levels, I play exorbitant amount of those hands.
Speculative hands.
Well, 8-7 suited, you might call it speculative, but to me, it's as good as king, ace, queen. You know what I mean? I want to see a flop, I can throw it away. By the way, I'm able to throw away those hands more than I can throw away ace, queen. That's why I hate ace, queen. So I probably get to 50%, 100% more chips at level 3. Then I have to learn to slow down. From the next 4 or 5 levels is to me. I play the first 4 levels away, then I play the next 4 levels. Now there's no more buy-in.
Tony, we lost you for a second.
No.
Okay, you're back. You're back.
You're not gonna get crazy ass calls when they can't buy in anymore. So to me, that starts a whole nother level. And then from level 8 to 12, when I get to 12, I'm gonna cash. Because I slow down. When I get
I don't
to
know
12,
who's getting these emojis. You keep
cash.
getting thumbs up. You see that, Gabe?
Yeah.
On Tony's screen? I wonder who's doing that. You get thumbs up on your screen. I'm not sure where it's coming from. If it's from the software. Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't see that. Okay.
I'm seeing it. My perspective on your game. You play a post-flop game, which tournaments are post-flop. Like the people that are like 5 betting, 6 betting, that used to happen back in like 2010, 11. And then the pros figured out that these players won't last in the game. So it's not a pre-flop game, it's post-flop. The 5 bets and 6 bets would like what I did a couple days ago with the ace-5 offsuit. 5 betting ace-5 off. It's not a good play. You just want to play post. You play a lot. You see a lot of flops. That's your thing. And you're good post-flop. You know how to navigate post-flop.
But I knew you had a 5, by the way.
Which hand?
I knew you had a 5. As soon as you turn it over, I told the guy I knew he had a 5.
No, I'm talking about the 5 bet hand that I played against.
Yeah, the ace-5 hand. The ace-5 when you busted the guy out, right?
No, he actually called me with queen 4 and he won. He binked 2 pair.
Oh no, I didn't see that hand. I wasn't there.
No. Which 5? Which hand you're talking about?
No, you and I played together yesterday on Monday, whenever Monday was.
Yeah.
You were on the button. You won ace-5, and you got a guy to go all in for 30,000 chips, and he called you. I don't. And you had a straight. You have the straight. You have the straight.
I don't remember that hand. Yesterday I was running so good. I built up like 130K in the first 3 levels, which is something I don't normally do. I had a huge stack.
Yeah,
I normally, when I get 2 stacks early, I'm cashing. Anytime I get 2 stacks early, like level 3 or level 4, I'm cashing a high percentage of the time. But what happened yesterday was,
that's sort of like what I was trying to say to you. I get up there, and when I don't cash, it's because I keep playing the 8-7s off instead of slowing down and playing more premium hands.
Right.
But if I get to level 12, I'm telling you I'm cashing if I get to level 12.
We don't know who won yesterday, by the way. They didn't post it yet. Tony, we're going to move to the questions from the chat, and let's watch the clip with Wally real quick, and then we'll move to the questions from the chat. Yeah, they didn't post a picture of the winner yet.
Okay.
Let me share the screen. Gabe, you have anything for Tony?
Do I have anything for Tony? Give me a second.
Okay. Let's watch this clip. This clip was filmed by the WPT, I think in 2016 when they were here.
5 years ago, I retired.
That's our boy.
I fell in love with poker. A friend of mine introduced me to poker online. We played for fun. I think it was Poker Stars or something, just play games. And then I liked the game, and I said, okay, maybe I should try live. So I went to the Hard Rock, and I played my first $100 tournament. I did very well. And then I played online one time. I think it was a 500,000 Monday guarantee. And I came like 26, so I got hooked since. Tony, I met him through poker. We become friends, and the rest is history. Tony, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
You too, man. Come on in.
Man, I always love your house, man. It's so relaxing.
Huh?
Are you working on your book?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Poker was interesting. I turned on poker on the World Poker Tour, actually, to be, and I say, wow, I'm super deep in math, and I started understanding the relationship between math, the percent, your percentage of odds, and equity, and that stuff. And it just intrigued me as an engineer to get into poker.
He's one card away from the title. Yep, you got to hit a 7. Got to hit the slot machine. 3 7s. Doesn't happen as an 8 comes off. So that's going to do it for Josh. He's our runner-up. Daniel Alai is our champion.
And then I went online, and it's only like $149 for the whole year. And you get to see every final table that ever happened on the WPT. So actually, I educated myself by watching the best poker players in the world play final tables. Oh, wow, it was only 270 back in.
You only had 270K in 2016. Now you have triple that.
Yeah. We're headed to my most famous homeless shelter. I spend more hours in this homeless shelter than anyone else in the world.
You do this every day, right?
There was times when I was doing 20 hours a week.
Oh, my God.
Before the book, and I just graduated from college.
Peace.
Culinary school. I wanted to learn how to be more efficient when I volunteered in the kitchen, so I went to culinary school, just so that when I'm in the kitchen cooking, I know how to do everything.
That's a nice little clip.
Yeah,
That's a nice little clip they did. All right, let's move on to the questions from the chat. Ryan Hogan on Facebook asks, I have a zillion business questions for Tony, but I guess my main one would be how he approached scaling. What is scaling?
Scaling is when you start a business. How do you get to your second and third business? Because most people, when they get to the second business, they are a little bit okay. The third business puts all 3 businesses out of business. Wow. You have to, when you become successful at something, you have to learn how to grow it without crashing the whole deck of cards. The answer is simple. In 2008, I had 21 car dealerships. I would never start a dealership unless there was a person that lived in that city that was, I call them the president, and they had at least 15% invested of the capital. So I scale by saying, I can't run all these dealerships. I was in 6 states from an airplane. So I scale by putting someone and giving up ownership. The hardest thing for a successful person to do is to say, hey, Carl, I want you to run this poker room for me. And I'll give you 15% of all the profits. Now, if you're really good at that, Carl, I can go and start another poker room and find another Carl to run that poker room. But now I've got people invested in the poker room that has their own money invested. That's the best way to get someone to want to run a business for you. They have the knowledge, they just don't have the bankroll. So if you give them the bankroll and you let them invest with you, you're giving them 15%. I was given, and it's in the book, for $150,000, I gave Darcy Quello 15% of a Lexus dealership. 150,000, because that was 15% of our initial working capital. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. None of my peers wanted to go down that. That's how I was able to get up to so many dealerships, is because I gave people ownership at the very top level.
Very interesting. It incentivized them to do well.
Yes.
When did he decide he was going to go big, and how did he go about doing it? That's the second part of the question.
First of all, and I'll take 20 seconds. I went to school full time for 1 year and a half. I sat in class or in a dealership, learning how to run a car dealership. I graduated from the Dealer Academy, and I started my first dealership. My first dealership, I lost money 5 years in a row. My first year, I made $500,000. I waited 2 more years, and I bought my second dealership, got those 2 running. Then I waited 3 more years, got those 2 running, and started my third dealership. Then I waited another 4 years, and that's when my company started to explode. That's when I went out and started giving people ownership. So that's how I started to grow, systematically grow, from 1 to 2 to 3 to multiple dealerships.
At this day and age, are you connected to any of them, or you sold
Yes,
them?
I still own 4 dealerships.
Okay. Any of them in Tampa?
No.
Okay.
By the way, I moved to Tampa to build Honda Wesley Chapel. I bought the land. I cut all the trees down, hired the contractor. I built that whole dealership. That's how I got to Tampa to build.
Oh, you built the Honda dealership. Wow.
I built Honda Wesley Chapel. I built that. I was the first owner of Honda Wesley Chapel when there was nothing but trees on the property.
Wow, that's insane. Deborah Farmer on Facebook replies, Ryan, you should read his book, Paying It Backward by Tony March and Marvin Carlins.
Yeah. I really should add that the math helps you learn what to do, but the math also says is this person can never call if you raise it this much. He's too tight.
Yeah, players' tendencies, of course.
Exactly. So
it was Jeff.
Learning. That's probably what he means, is me being fearless. Never let him see a 5th card. I have this rule, no 5th cards.
Jeff Ferrara made that comment, by the way. Shout out to Jeff. I haven't seen Jeff in a while, by the way. Chad Kitchen on Facebook says, shout out to Chad. Tony is not only a great player and always seems to have it, he is above all else a gentleman and a class act all around, on and off the table, and everyone should take notice and follow his example. Well said, Chad. Joao Louise on Instagram says, just thank him for all he does for the community. Long live Tony March. You know who Joao is?
I probably do. I'm very bad with names. I have to see the face.
Yeah. He's a grinder. He grinds mostly silks. He plays sometimes hard rock.
Okay.
Sid on Instagram. You know Indian Sid? Used to grind here. Siddharth, his name.
Oh, from India.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I just texted him yesterday. He had a picture on Facebook.
Yeah, he did post a picture on Facebook. He said what image he used to have of my game. So basically, how do you perceive his Sid's game?
Sid was, I hope he's watching this. Sid was always afraid of me because all the things he would be able to get away with other people, he knew he could get away with me. It was sort of like a mutual respect.
And
I wouldn't try certain things on him, if you can understand. You understand.
Yeah.
You don't
guys,
try, Carl, you don't try things on me because you know I could be badass crazy. You follow what I'm saying?
I tried and failed.
I'll
Yeah, I
call
tried
you.
a few
I
times.
will call you, and I will call you. Well, that's
Yeah.
what Dan said was. You know what I mean?
Man, you played back at me really bad in the last series in Tampa. I don't know if you had it or not, but yeah, it was deep on day 2. We were at the same table, and I was like
Oh,
getting
that
out
was
of
a bluff.
line.
I remember that. That was a bluff.
I thought so. I forgot what the exact hand was, but
But
we
it was
were
the
at the
amount, though. That's what people. Well, you two guys know. It's the amount. You try it. If it doesn't work, guess what? You move on. Some
right.
people don't know how to. They try to. There's 4,000 in the pot. They're going to try to bluff you with 3,000. You know what I mean? If you want to bluff, there's 4,000 in the pot. Bet 7,000.
Right.
If you're bluffing, go big.
Gabe is a doc. He has a doctorate when it comes to that. His bet sizing is on point. I don't know if have you played with Gabe lately?
Who's Gabe?
Gabriel, our
Gabe.
co-host.
Yes.
Have you played with him lately?
No.
Just watch out for him if you're ever on the table at the same table. Just watch what he does.
Yeah.
It's pretty. He puts on a show for sure. Is there any project or initiative you're currently working on as in charity?
Oh, I have major projects with Metropolitan Ministry. We just finished in January. We had our food fight. We raised $370,000. In April, the first weekend in April, we had our bridge builders. We broke records there with over $1 million. So, there's 2 events in the first part of this year. We raised $1.3 million. So I do a lot of work I'm on the board at Metro. So there's a lot of behind the scenes working other than just in the kitchen, being on the board with the numbers. So that is my passion. That's where, and I'm able to use my knowledge as running a big businesses to instill on the board. But people at Metro, they got their act together. I have 15 shelters across the world that I donate to.
Really?
But before COVID, I visited all 15 in 5 countries.
You said 15 or 50? Is 50 or 15? 15. Okay.
Different homeless shelters across the world.
What countries? Can you name them?
Australia, Canada, U.S., Dominican Republic, and a little bit in Haiti until they went batshit crazy. My problem with Haiti is I got to hire 15 guards, and that's still not enough.
Security,
for me to walk into Haiti. I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, if you kill me, that means everybody else suffers. So no, we'll leave Haiti out of the equation because it just became too dangerous.
Mm-hmm. If you could solve one global problem, what would it be and why?
I will not now go to my grave. I wrote a book. This book I told you about, I dedicated this book to my 4 teachers. There is nobody.
The teachers. Let's give them a shout out. Who are the teachers?
I call them my hawks. By the way, when you read the books, you'll see this. You know the Hard Rock logo?
Mm-hmm.
There's a H in the logo. There's an A. There's a W. Well, a Seminole is an upside down M. I turn that to be my W and K. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In my book, you'll see when I first started playing poker, I would always, when I'm thinking, look for the H, the A, the K, the W, and the K, because there's my hawks. Those are the teachers like Miss Harris, Miss Allmiller, Miss West, and Miss Keys. I call them my hawks.
They left an impact on you, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've dedicated my whole book to them. But to answer your question, I have a twin brother, same age. He moved 17 times with me. He ate out of the same garbage cans I ate out of. He had the same horrible mother. He doesn't know who his father is, like I don't know who my father is. Every dime my twin brother received was from me or the government. We had the same upbringing, the same poverty, the same bad neighborhood. What's the difference? Why did I break the poverty cycle? only because of my 4 teachers and education. If I could change anything in this world, don't make me president. We are not going to do a B-52 bomber for, I forgot how many $1 billion, and we don't pay for educating people.
The system here is so messed
free
up, Tony.
food,
It's
no
so
free
messed up.
gas,
Don't get me started.
cell phone. No, but I
There's
can talk this because I was poverty. You
there's
follow?
always money for bombs, no
And-
money for healthcare, no money for
Not
education. But
1% now, so I can say this. I've been on both sides of the cycle. The only reason why I'm here is because of those 4 teachers and education. So if I could
Good thing.
change one thing in the world, I would change that we have to do better with our educational system. Stop complaining about education. Stop complaining about people being poor and lazy when you won't even educate them. Stop complaining about it.
Yeah,
I'm
the
talking-
education
talking
is
to the
definitely
rich people.
falling back. There's some
Talking to the
videos
rich people.
online of some videos online of TikTokers going on the streets and asking people some random questions, like basic questions. People don't know, they don't know the answer. Like
Yeah.
basic math questions or history questions, they have no clue. This new TikTok generation, we're getting dumber and dumber.
Yeah.
The second aspect you brought up is you and your twin is a sick story that you're both same DNA, same upbringing, same age, same background. One went to the top and one was living on government help and your help. This is insane. And I talked about that subject once, that two brothers can have the same background and everything. And I always say that everybody has an instilled character in them, that you might have some drive and your brother lived in the same environment, but he takes a completely different path. You guys are twins, basically identical people, same brain, same everything, same body, and you guys took a different, completely 180 different
Only
path.
because education is the only difference between me and him.
And we talked about bombs. We don't want to get too political, but what do you think about what's going on in the Middle East? That's we don't have to go deep, but what's the thought process about civilians dying?
Everybody's afraid, and I want you to listen to me before you react, whoever's on this podcast. Everybody's afraid to be called anti-Semitic. Everyone's afraid. You're afraid. At the poker table, people afraid to answer that question because, if I answer it truthfully, you're going to call me anti-Semitic.
This is all an act.
Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me finish. It is not anti-Semitic to say you should not be killing innocent women and children. That is not anti-Semitic.
100%.
Hitler, I'll say this, Hitler was a scumbag because he killed innocent women and children. You want to ask me how I feel about Israel? Anyone that kills innocent women and children is a scumbag. And if
100%.
any politician wants to keep giving money to people killing innocent women and children, those politicians are scumbag. It is not anti-Semitic to say you should not be killing innocent.
It has nothing to do with the race of who's doing it.
With anything. You are not allowed to kill innocent women and children.
100%.
They just killed 45 yesterday. 45 with one fucking bomb.
Yeah, I saw that.
And we keep sending them money.
I saw that. Is your charity involved at all in sending any aid to Palestine?
Let me tell you about my charity in Israel. I cried so hard. November 22, Hurricane Ian hit Tampa. Excuse me for getting emotional. You know who came to Tampa to feed the whole neighborhood here?
Who?
The World Health Kitchen, Jose Reyes. They were here in Tampa.
Is it the same organization that got
The
hit?
same
in Israel?
organization that Israel bombed.
Yeah.
One of the worst days of my life was waking up and reading the news that the people that I just talked about, or scumbags, if you kill innocent women and children, you're a scumbag, just killed the people that were just here in Tampa feeding all of Florida during the hurricane. Now tell me, you rationalize that's what. Am I anti-Semitic to say, I think you're a scumbag for killing the people at the World Health Kitchen that traveled the world doing nothing but feeding people? and despair.
Killing civilians is not okay on both sides.
So call me a scumbag.
Not at all. Not at all. We're just
care.
speaking
Call
the
me
truth. We're just
You should not be killing innocent women and children.
Of course, on both sides. What happened on October 7th is
absolutely
horrific. You don't. If they went after military installations, their cause would have been much stronger. If they didn't kill innocent women and children, they're
scumbags by my definition because they killed innocent on October 7th.
Yeah.
They killed innocent women and children. So they're scumbag. Hitler killed innocent women and children. They're scumbag. Netanyahu is a scumbag because Netanyahu is killing innocent women and children. Call me anti-Semitic. Do whatever you want. You should not be killing innocent women and children. 100%. Now you're killing the World Health Kitchen that's going to feed innocent people, and you're killing the people that's feeding innocent people.
And the whole thing, people on TV ask, how should Netanyahu go about it? Okay, we're getting deep here in the rabbit hole. It's easy how we go about it. It's easy. We did it in Afghanistan. We don't bomb villages. If we know the Taliban are in a town, we don't level the town. We go after the Taliban. We set up a post. We watch the area for 24 hours, 48 hours, however long it takes. We see activities. They usually move on motorbikes. We see who's going in and out on motorbikes. And if they have weapons, we attack. We don't just level down the city. Oh, shit, we lost Tony. I don't know if it's what we're talking about. Tony, we lost you here. Gabe, what's your take on this whole thing? Even though we don't want to get political on this podcast, but we did.
I think there's an overwhelming amount of nuance to every situation. And this is independent of me like taking sides, because I agree with everything Tony said about innocent women and children. Like war is a result of poor communication often and resources. And I think that it's a tragedy when communication doesn't work. And I think a lot of communication not working really falls down to like ego and people needing this needing revenge. I think there's a lot of discussion about game theory and tribal trading that basically says like the tit for tat thing is what really, we miscommunicate, right? Me and you, Carl. All of a sudden I take something the wrong way, and you don't know it's maybe a discretion against me, but I take it that way as a slight. And all of a sudden I now respond to you in kind. And now you don't understand why I just did what I did, but now
I respond to you.
And no one wants to cut off the head of the snake and start to do good things, right? Like I'm not just going to go out of my way and do something nice for you, because if I did that, it might make me look weak, right? Which is kind of an ego thing.
You said it. Ego is a big thing, but I mean, there's other forces at hand in the situation over there. It's pretty complicated. It's very complicated.
You kind of start to see where if I stopped that cycle, I think it doesn't mean we're going to solve the problem, right? But I think it's a valid step one towards like reaching a solution that is not going to require violence. And I think that's what, there's discussions about our involvement with so many nations. I think a trade that there's, I forget, evolutionary psychologists, I believe. I've looked at trade and how when trade breaks down between countries, that's when war starts to escalate. And so a lot of people want to start cutting off trade with countries that we might not feel or, share our same values. That can also be dangerous. So it's all very complicated, but it's human nature, anarchic, global, international relations, so challenging, right? It's every country's for themselves, and we have so much technology and resources that it become we're seemingly always involved, right? Because we can be, but it all gets hairy, complicated, and challenging to discuss, really.
Yeah, interesting take on it. Tony, we lost you there. What happened?
Yeah, my battery went dead.
I thought your
It
battery went dead.
completely. I said, "What the heck's going on?"
I thought maybe the Matrix cut you off because of the topic we're talking about.
They probably could have.
They probably. I'm sure they could have.
I'm very passionate. I live my whole life for the underprivileged.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask me a question and you just think, is there underprivileged people involved? You're going to get a passionate answer if there's underprivileged.
But it is a passionate topic, so I can totally see your reaction.
Especially for me, because every day I wake up, I'm going to try to help someone that needs help.
Mm-hmm.
So
you live it. You live it on a daily basis.
I don't just say, you know, people don't walk the walk. I talk the talk, but I walk. I do what I say I want other people to do for the underprivileged. So that subject hits me hard, and I won't even tell you how. I think I lost 2 days when I found out that the guys I was working with the World Kitchen, when I found out they were killed.
They were killed in the attack.
Carl, they killed 7.
No, I know 7 died, but I didn't know.
Tampa, feeding Tampa for the hurricane with Jose. You know, Jose Rios, he has this World Kitchen. He goes all over the world. Wherever there's a disaster, you will find him, okay? They killed 7 of the people I was working with here in Tampa for our hurricane. Israel killed 7 of those people.
Wow.
While they were feeding the starving Palestinians. So don't ask me how I feel about Israel.
Okay.
And by the way, I could say this. Let me say this. I think I'm one of the top taxpayers in the country.
Mm-hmm.
My tax dollars are buying those fucking bombs.
Yeah. Yep.
Tony, I've got a question that's going to slightly direct from this, but it's a two-parter. I guess one is, I would love to know more about exactly what your organization does. Is it exclusively feeding the underprivileged, feeding the hungry, the homeless? Do you do any stuff? Does your organization do any stuff with education? And then I guess maybe I could just let you answer that, and then I'll follow up with.
Okay. I have given to educational wise. I've given to the National Hispanic and the National Negro College Fund long before I even got out of college. So I've been giving to those two because I want to try to help fellow people, Black people in poverty, get out of poverty. And I know that the only way to do it is education. So I do a lot for.
All right, let's, we have a hand history here to discuss. Let me share the screen real quick. Hand is between Mateos and Malinowski. It's a final table. Event 11 in the Triton Series, 200K. Buy-in, 8-handed, no limit hold'em. Let's watch the hand.
I'm going to be lost on a lot of runouts and make a lot of blunders. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but it's
unclear how to approach it.
Yeah, I should give you pause.
So they're playing for a $1.5 million second to first pay jump right now. So there's a lot of
up 2 pair for Malinowski.
Victor would like to take a pause here and live in this reality for as long as possible.
And he's going to love to see the 250K bet from Mateos. Now, it's interesting because we got so much hand right now.
Let's set up the hand real quick. It's heads up, final table. Mateos and Malinowski, they both have, the blinds are at 250K big blind. Mateos has 8.8 million. They both have the similar stacks. So what is that? 30 blinds?
35-ish.
35-ish blinds, yeah. So they're both semi-deep for a heads-up match. So Mateos is on the button. He opens King Deuce, and Malinowski defends Jack 9.
He limped, so it was more or less just entering the pot, but he limped.
Oh, Mateos limps the button?
Yeah, and then Victor Malinowski just checks his option.
Okay. And heads up, we're going to do a lot of limping because we're going to see, like, you're going to play like 85-90% of hands. There's no folding. You're going to see every hand. So he's going to mix in some opens and some limps on the button. And it's like he's going to play a mixed strategy. So he limps button, Malinowski flats. Malinowski obviously drills the flop with 2 pair. Let's see the action.
Oh, but we also kind of want to build the pot. Do we check call or do we check raise?
So this was limp pre, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
I think that influences us a little bit more towards call.
Does agree?
I would think both.
Mateos bets 3rd pot on the flop, and Malinowski opts to call.
They're fully on the table as options.
Yeah.
Mateos has one of those hands that can really spaz out.
When he flopped 2 pairs,
He just called it 250, right?
he just called the 250.
I would never just call it 250.
You're raising there?
I'm raising, even if it's 1.5 times, just to see where I'm at.
Okay.
Chuck, I have a question for you as well. So I think a dynamic here that's not really like represented for the audience is like, oh, hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Hi, Carl. Hi, Gabe.
Sid, how
going,
you
guys?
doing? Sid, this is Gabe. We were talking about you earlier, and I asked if Gabe knows you, and he said, well, by the time you left to India, Gabe started grinding in Tampa. So I'm sure you know of him, but you guys have never played together.
I've heard about Gabe, and I've played a ton with Tony, like a million times.
Yeah. He mentioned, Tony, earlier that you both had respect for each other at the table. You wouldn't get out of line against him, and he wouldn't get out of line against you.
Right.
That was interesting to know.
There was one time that I remember I was tilted in my second bullet, and I sat down. Tony was at the table. I had ace, rag, flopped a gutter. I had the ace of heart. There were 2 hearts on the flop. Tony checks. I bet he calls. Turn, I don't remember. Check. River was another heart, and I had the ace of heart in my hand. He checks, and I just jams. I was super tilted. He tanks forever, and he calls. That was my very first hand. Do you remember that, Tony?
No, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Probably it's like, I remember you just snapped off, and I was shocked. You had like probably a second pair.
So you had the flush or no?
I just had the ace of heart.
You had the blocker.
hand.
Oh, okay.
I had the blocker, and I was ripping a flush.
Wow.
But it was always nice playing against.
He called you light. Oh, listen, Sid, we're watching a hand here between a final table heads-up match between Mateos and Malinowski. We set up the hand. It went limp button. They both have 35 big blinds-ish. Mateos limps the button, and Malinowski checks back. The flop is Jack 9X. Malinowski flops 2 pair. He goes for the check call on the flop, and let's watch the rest of the hand. I asked Tony what would he would do on the flop, and he said, I said, would you check call or check raise? He said I would check raise to see where I'm at. You got to always think when you're raising, you always have to think about the factor is what if your opponent is bluffing? So if you're bluffing, you're going to lose him. So if he has a hand exactly like the king deuce with no equity, like he's basically drawn dead, and you raise there, you lose so much value. Now, if he has a hand, if he has like queen 10, for example, he has 8 outs to improve. So you not raising there, he might improve, and you might lose a big pot instead of winning a small one. But the times he's bluffing, you're going to lose on so much. I see that at the Hard Rock all the time.
Yeah.
Amateurs are all about like denying equity. They're always scared of the boogeyman under the bed. So they're always, they're not thinking that your opponent might have a hand with no equity and you're just making $0 there. They might have aces on like a queen 7 deuce board, like a very dry board. You can't get outdrawn. Yes, they might get there and hit their 5 hour every once in a while if they have a pair on the board. Sometimes they have 0 equity. They have like 2%, 3% equity. So when you raise in certain spots, you're losing out on so much equity, on so much value. So you got to assess. This is where like hand reading ability and reading people, you always look at your opponent and see if they're worked up and really involved in the hand or not. Like this is where physical tells come into play. This is like me, and when I'm in a spot like this, I look at my opponent and you can tell when somebody's strong or weak. Anyway, let's. Does that make sense, Tony?
Well, that makes sense. I would have put him on queen 10 at that point in time.
You're playing heads up. The odds of him having that exact combo is not
No.
that high. You're not playing
I
multi-way.
know, but what I'm doing is going 1.5 time is to see where I'm at.
See, in that spot, you lose so much value because King Deuce is not like there are certain hands like Ace 5, for example.
I'll add when I get to the end because I think this hand. So
okay,
makes sense what I just said. By the way.
Okay, let's watch it.
3 on the turn. Quite the blink.
And what makes this a great candidate for continuing to bluff?
Well, Petrangelo likes to call it the bad boy corner, ace low and king low. They just kind of lose their mind because they unblock a lot of the one call hands. Let's say Victor had 8-7 or 10-8. I thought that it was a heart might have saved Mateos from that fate. Maybe like the offsuit 3 of diamonds. I felt very confident he bet. I wasn't sure here, but this is the kind of generally above the rim play that a lot of high rollers find here.
Jaffe, he's just bet 1.9 million.
So in other words, when you do this and you overbet, you don't want to have.
By the way, he overbet the shit out of the pot on the turn.
Mm-hmm.
This is something Gabe incorporates in his game. The pot was what, Gabe? It was like 1.7. He bet 1.9.
It was 1.25 and he goes 1.9, which
wow.
This is interesting, right? When
Very
we have a pair here and someone overbets, they're basically telling us that their hand is extremely strong, right?
Well, he's polarizing here. He's polarizing.
That's what. Yeah.
It's either air or
nothing.
Like a two-pair.
I mean, or the super nuts. Yeah.
So it's on the flop. Our question with Tony is like, do you raise here? It makes a lot more sense almost to raise on the flop. But now when our opponent's just telling us he has a great hand, now it's almost easier for us to just call and let him rep what he's trying to rep. And now,
now it is to call, but before he doesn't make this ridiculous $1.9 million bet, if I raised him 1.5, he doesn't. That's what I was going to say. He doesn't do anything from the rest of this hand that he would have done if I had raised him.
Well, you're saying
I understand denying equity, Carl. That part I do understand. My next level is I got this other thing is pigs get slaughtered.
What you're trying to say is you deny equity and you don't want to be put in a tough spot because he wouldn't take that line on the turn. But the thing is, pros strive in tough spots like these because that's how you make the most money. His line is going to make him the most money.
Yeah, I agree.
You're taking now. We see the cards. It's easy when you see the cards. But I'm saying, let's say you're in Malinowski's shoes. You're making the minimum amount of profit. It's the bet on the flop. That's all you're making. Malinowski is going to milk that to the max from Mateos because he knows Mateos is not going to push on the brakes. He's going to go bet, taking that line because he's setting a river shove. In case he's bluffing, Malinowski is going to make the max. Your line will make the minimum. But, of course, we know the cards. But
right.
See, in Tampa, when players, the average Joe, the trucker Joe in Tampa, when he's taking that line, he has a value hand. So when you raise, you're going against the range that can continue. And it's going to be a range that has plenty of outs that and is going to continue in the hand. Trucker Joe is never taking that line with King Deuce in Tampa. So when they put that much pressure in Tampa, they have it, and you're going against the big range that can call you down. Yeah, but pros are on a different level that they take that line with air, with complete air. Like yesterday, the pot that I played, the comments on Facebook were, "Where are you doing torching your stack? It's a high variance play. It's a punt."
I read John's
because
comment
these
there.
players are not capable of taking that line with ace-5 offsuit. They're not used to it. They're like, what the fuck is he doing? We have a blocker. We have a player against us that's a maniac that's opening and showing down king-6 and jack-7. When you play like that, when you show me these cards, you're not playing poker anymore against me. You're going to get 3-bet. You're going to get a lot of resistance. So you see the comments, and some of the comments were like, why are you playing such a big pot with ace-5? Because they're not used to that play. They're used to playing big pots with aces and kings. If you play like that, you're too predictable that you only build pots with big hands when you have a marginal hand. Yeah, it's a punt at face value when the guy called me with queen-4 and we played the 300 big blind pot. He forced the mistake. Like, he made a huge mistake and got rewarded for it. But at face value, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
I
think my problem is I fear the crazy people at Hard Rock.
Yeah,
So
against
my
crazy
answer to
people.
your question was fearing the crazy people at Hard Rock that's got like what's that Jack 9-4 that's
Yeah.
got 4 that's got King 4 and they hit their king.
Yeah. See, let's say he has King 4. You want to get max value from the hand. Yes, he's gonna draw out on you and hit one of his 5 outs every once in a while. But
Yep.
most of the time, like that's how you make their money. You don't want to scare him off. You want to keep the 4 in. See, professionals are always thinking about maximizing value. Amateurs are always thinking about defending and not letting the opponent
I
get
agree.
in there.
I agree.
They're gonna get there every once in a while, but most of the time they're thinking about milking every dollar from their opponent. They're not thinking about, they're not being scared of being drawn out on. Let's finish the hand.
Like a 7-8, 10
Yeah.
queen, all that stuff.
Exactly. You've got Victor's got Queen 8 and 7-8 and 10-7 that are going to check call very high frequency and then check fold turn nicely.
When Mateos goes this big on the turn, he's asking more than those hands to fold.
Yeah. I mean,
He's-
Victor's going to fold most 4 if it's not 4x of hearts and maybe mixes in some 9 fold.
Yeah.
Remember, we don't think he has much jack when we bet small and get called. The sick thing is, if the river's not a heart, Mateos has a lot of follow through with this hand because you unblock 4x of hearts, 9x of hearts.
Well, let's see. River card is the 7 of hearts.
Oh, that may save him. I mean, on the other side, Mateos has 2 very clear bluff candidates in 5-6 and 8-10 that both get there. So of the hearts we could see, this may be the one where Mateos buries himself.
Before we see the end result, what's your thought process here, Tony, after the 3rd pot on the flop, overbet pot on the turn? Like some hands that are going to take that line or have hearts in them. So let's say Mateos has like Queen 8 of heart or King 7. Oh, no, he can't have King 7. King 6 of heart.
8-10 of hearts too makes sense, right?
10-8 of hearts, yeah, that picked up equity on the turn and fired big because those hands are going to take that same line. They're going to fire small on the flop, pick up equity on the turn, continue barreling, and now they got there on the river. First of all, what's your thought process being Malinowski? Are you thinking twice about it or are you snap calling that river?
Have we got to the bet on the river?
The river, no, it's on Mateos now. Malinowski checked river.
I would have absolutely checked the river, seeing the third heart.
Okay, and what are you doing? Let's say Mateos goes all in. What's the thought process? The pot is like 5.8. They both have around pot behind.
I think this is where I go home, Carl.
You're just calling.
Sid, he just told you what I do. I'm gonna call. I'm not gonna let you just bully me over. Not with.
Yeah, and I think that's I was kind of starting to get to this point, but like Mateos is a guy who's going to find bluffs. He's putting a lot of pressure on us, right? And we have one of our strongest hands.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of merit in letting a player like that do that. And when the bad river comes, it always sucks, right? We always just like scratch our head like, oh my God, how did I get to this point? But we know this guy can find bluffs. So I think this is a good hand to put the call in.
Okay, in this spot, let's see the best case scenario and worst case scenario. So what is the worst case scenario? What hands are you putting Mateos on that has us beat? Like what hands took that line and got there on the river, especially that it's backdoor and we have the 9 of hearts. We have Jack 9, so we're blocking jacks, we're blocking 9s. Mateos can never have those hands because he limped. I mean, he could be trapping every once in a while, but in a nutshell, in a vacuum, he's not going to have these hands that often. Even pocket 4s is going to open pre-flop. So we take these hands out of the equation. So no jacks, no 9s, no 4s. So, and we block the jacks, we block the 9s anyway, but those hands are not going to take that line. So what hands can Mateos has that
5-6 of hearts?
Huh?
5-6 of hearts?
5-6 of hearts. Would 5-6 of hearts take that line? Yes. Yeah, it's a good candidate for sure. 10-8 of hearts.
10-8 of hearts.
10-8 offsuit. 10-8
Yes.
of hearts. Queen 10 of hearts.
Queen 10 of
Well,
hearts.
I'm on Queen 10. That's the reason why I said that I would have 1.5 bet his raise just to see where I was, because I would have said he could have Queen 10.
And I think if we're looking at Mateos's range, right, he bets one blind, which ends up being a third pot on the flop. He could be attacking this flop with his entire range. We don't exactly know what his strategy is, but he kind of starts to define things on the turn with this 3 of hearts. So I think you're going to find that like he's going to arrive here with a lot of flush draws, especially like non-ace or king high flush draws that don't have showdown value. So now he's going to have like you were saying, those 5-6 of hearts, 10-8 of hearts, cards.
Ace 4 of hearts.
Yeah, like 10-6 of hearts, stuff like that. And he defines his hand. He bets big, and now this card really does interact with like a lot of those hands that picked up equity that he's starting to blast. So
yeah. The overbet on the turn makes a lot of sense that he picked up equity on the turn. And what hands pick up equity? It's the hearts, all the hearts combos, which he has a ton of them.
That makes sense.
So let's see what happens, River.
There's 5 million
Super
chips
close.
in the middle. Malinowski has top 2 pair. Mateos min bet the flop, over bet the turn, 1.9 million. Now has a decision with just
no
king
heart,
high.
Find the check.
Yeah, I mean, if his king is a heart, not a diamond, it's probably a different story here.
Yeah.
But it's,
You notice how he glanced at Malinowski here? And why do you think he glanced at him? This is where physical tells come into play. You kind of pick up something. Is he weak? Is he strong? Is he about to snap call? Like amateurs are going to give you so much tells here. They start grabbing chips. They start doing things to either like avoid you from betting, or if they're like breathing is too heavy, you can tell if they're strong or weak. These guys are not giving that much tells, but still he glanced at him. And the glance is basically trying to figure out if he's strong, if he should go for the all-in here or not. I don't know if you noticed it. It was right here.
So a question there, Carl.
Yeah.
What tells do you see? Like, let's say if you are in Mateo's spot, what tells will you see there? And in the case, like, are you checking back on what tells, and when are you actually putting it in?
I do it when I'm about to go for a big bluff. I try to any subtle things that they can give me. I notice when people are next to me, mostly their feet. Like a couple days ago, a guy made a bet on the turn and he put his foot back right away. He like pushed his foot back like right away. That's a tell that he's weak. He's scared of. It's almost like, oh my God, what did I do? Like anything subtle that it could be very subtle. It could be their breathing, where they're looking. Some people just give up mid-hand. If they start looking like elsewhere, it's like they're done with the hand. These guys are not gonna give up that many tells, especially these two. Malinowski, they have so much. Like, look at Mateos. He's like a statue. He's like so stoic. You can't get anything out of him. So it's hard to get tells from these guys. But the average Joe at Hard Rock, you can pick up a lot of. There's a lot of cues to
Earn 1.9 million. Now has a decision with just
no
king
heart,
high.
Find the check.
yeah, I mean, if his king is a heart, not a diamond, it's probably a different story here.
Yeah.
But it's,
Super close.
oh,
He's going to throw in a time bank. This is a critical decision.
I mean, I guess Malinowski is just going to call, but
like, okay, look at Malinowski right now. Do you see somebody comfortable or uncomfortable? The bottom lip is telling me a story that's somebody uncomfortable.
That's
the
right.
eyebrows, even the way he's like squinting, this is a face of somebody that's scared, that's uncomfortable. Even though he's a pro, but he's giving off tells. I could be wrong. Do you guys see it, or is it just me?
I do see that.
You see like his mouth? Like this is not a mouth of somebody confident with their hand.
Yeah.
I'd have to compare it to how he presents himself in other hands and across the entire like tournament and stuff like that. I wouldn't want, especially from someone who's really good, I wouldn't want to try and extract. It's all small, you know. Does it make me feel like I can take the bluff or not? It's so maybe, but
it could be a false tell too. Some when you're advanced, when you're at that level, you can send false tells. So you can look worried and scared, which I mean amateurs do all the time. They look
the reverse tells.
Yeah, reverse tell. They act too sad and they look down and timid when they have a strong hand.
Yeah.
But Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. From what I see somebody that's not happy with their hand. But let's see what happens.
You're not like you're loving it on the turn, and on the river you're kind of like,
Yeah, of all the hearts that like the 9 of hearts doesn't block Mateos's like heart draws because he wasn't banging 9x of hearts for that size on the turn.
Oh my. He has announced all in, and if Malinowski can call, he will leave Mateos on crumbs.
he's got a lot of hand banks.
He's thinking.
I mean, he might fold, but you got to bet call here. Call's got to be a decent favorite, I would think.
Yeah, I'm probably calling against a wreck that I don't think knows how to bluff.
But this is Mateos.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The thought that he's thinking. I mean, you're playing for a trophy. You got to think, but
We're also playing for $1.5 million. Can Limitless find the call? He's uncomfortable.
I tell you this right now. Any amateur at Hard Rock would look at this hand and will be befuddled. They'll be like, what is he? This is an easy call. But these guys are on a different level. Nothing is easy. When somebody takes those, they'll be like, oh, Mateos is bluffs all the time. I call like me. I'm getting called with queen 4 in a 5-bet pot. Snap. This guy's thinking with top 2 pair in a heads up pot. You know, it's hard to make hands when you're heads up. So just to see the difference in the level of play. This guy's in the blender.
What's on the line
with top 2.
Can he flick it in?
he's given it real thought. This is like he's not posturing.
So Mateos is really, his target at this point is Jack X hands, in particular, that don't have a heart, right? That have called twice.
I mean, no, because Victor has more. He's got a bunch of 9x. Yes, he is targeting, hoping a jack.
Maybe
folds
some 9x that called turn. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, the majority of 9x I think is supposed to call turn. That's the crazy thing. You know, for Mateos's decision, which I think is the most interesting part. I mean, it comes down to how much 9x did he think Victor called. What did he say? Wow!
Oh my!
Wow!
Just folded.
Dude, he got Jack 9 with a heart to fold.
God.
He folded.
That's a crazy hand, man.
Pretty crazy. That was a good pick, Gabe. Good job on that hand.
Oh,
That's
it was
a very
Gabe's
good pick.
choice.
What's that?
It was Gabe's choice for that hand.
Yeah. I had a different hand to discuss, but Gabe brought up this hand. It was very interesting.
Yeah, what's interesting too is I think that he doesn't like the composition of his hand. He would rather have like a jack with like a 6 of hearts and 8 of hearts, something to block. Even though it reduces his own hand strength, he wants to have to block the hands that Mateos is going for that line with. So pretty crazy hand.
Very interesting hand. When did you watch this? Last night?
No, it was 6 days ago. I was just I knew that they were running some tournaments in Triton, and they popped up in my feed. And I just went to the heads up just to scout out a few hands, and I saw it pretty quickly, and I was like, okay, this is something else.
Tony, let's wrap up this session with rating the local rooms, and we'll see if Sid has. We're at the 2-hour 15-minute mark. What do you think about the rooms? Hard Rock. Oh, you can't hear me. I think you muted the audio by mistake, Tony. Okay, Tony, let's rate the local rooms. Tampa Derby, Hard Rock, Derby, Silks, TGT, from 1 to 4, and why?
The best players, I go by the best players. To me, the best players are Hard Rock, especially in bigger tournaments.
No, I'm talking like room as far as experience. Which one you like best?
Oh, just plain like best?
Yeah.
It's still going to be Hard Rock.
Hard Rock first. What's second? What's your second favorite?
Believe it or not, TGT.
TGT is second best.
Because the people there really try. They have some of the best dealers, and management really, really tries to make everybody happy.
shout out to JD. He really put an effort with everything in that last series, with the updates. Like the updates were on point, very timely, in a timely fashion. He went live with when they were final table. The banners when everybody bagged, those little signs. The Queen of the Felt or whatever those signs. Yeah, he did a really good job with that last series, with everything. It was a success. And people online were commenting that he should have that at least like 2 or 3 times a year, and I don't see why not. So TGT second, who's third?
Third would be Silks.
Okay.
Only Silks is not 1 or 2, only because with my vertigo, I can't sit in certain seats at Silks. The tables are too close together.
Yeah. Okay.
Vertigo.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why they're down. And during COVID, I lost all faith in Derby. The dealers had their mask half down. They let the locals, they're locals at Derby. They let the locals do whatever the hell they wanted to do with their masks. At Derby, it is the locals get preferential treatment. So I never go to Derby unless there's no tournament anywhere else in Tampa.
Did you catch COVID, Tony, during the COVID times?
No. I caught it 2 years later.
Okay, you did catch it. This whole thing with the mask was insanity, I think. I think we all caught it. Masks or not, we all got it. It just went, it took our course on all of us. Vaccinated or not vaccinated, we just all got COVID. Like it was supposed to do. Anyway, so Sid, do you have anything for Tony before we wrap this session up?
So Tony was on my rail. If you remember, Tony, it was my last tournament at the Hard Rock when I was on the final table with Brian Altman, Justin Zaki. It was the 2500 championship event. And he was on my rail all the time. Yeah. And I was like super card dead on that final table. And he was, he knew that. Yeah, I was super card dead. I think he was there for almost all the time. And
you made the final table of the main event, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was your biggest score.
My biggest score, it was 32K something. And I mean, it was always fun playing with Tony. Super interesting player and always tricky. I find it challenging playing against him.
When you come back to the United States?
Yeah, I do plan to visit next year for a couple of months. In the summers next year, Tony.
Okay.
Nice.
Good.
Gabe, you have anything to wrap this session up?
We talked about so much. I was telling Carl when the connection went down a little bit. I was like, I feel like I could ask you a million questions about poker and your business and your charity. I feel like I could keep talking to you forever. So I won't ask any more questions. But it was a pleasure getting to know you, and I'm sure I'm gonna probably chat you up a little bit more at the Hard Rock too. Now that I
absolutely. Just tell me to take my earphones out, because I always have my earphones in, so I probably won't hear you if you're. A lot of people misunderstand because they're like hidden. They think I'm ignoring them. It's just because I have my earphones in.
I'll hack into your earphones, that way I get the direct connection.
Okay, very good.
Tony, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
It was fun for sure. Gabe, thank you for co-hosting. Sid, nice having you.
Different.
Yeah, I'm straight off to bed. It's 2 a.m. here in India.
Oh shit! What did you say, Tony?
I say this podcast was probably different than most of your podcasts.
I mean, we covered a lot of topics. We even talked about politics, which is something I never do, but it's nice to hear everybody's perspective. It was interesting. We covered a lot of topics.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Peace, guys. Peace. See you at the tables.